Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Happy Wednesday morning. Hope you are all doing well. I am so full from yesterday. Was so amazing again to see Prince Harry, and of course, we didn't know if he was going to be there for the panel discussion, and he was. And so we know today will be the service of Thanksgiving, and looking forward to that. Looking forward to maybe some photos and videos coming out of that. So as soon as I get them, I will post them. And I'm very, very excited about that for later on today. But this episode, I kind of just wanted to do an update on some stories that I had spoken about in a couple of episodes ago. And so I'm doing this quick video just to update some of the stories, some royal, some real world stuff that has happened, and updating those stories. But first of all, I love these photos of Harry and Meghan. But one of the things, just with what happened in the last couple of days, just say with Prince Harry going back to the UK, is I am just so happy, one, that he has Meghan by his side. I'm so happy that he has a woman who knows her worth, who knows and understands this craziness and understands, like, she does not have to be a part of toxicity. She does not have to take part in it. She can have her own life and do her own thing and have her own success in her own way. And I'm so happy that she has refused to take part in the nonsense in the UK, refused to show up, refused to give them her presence. And so I am just so happy. And hopefully one day Harry would get there. It's always hard. It's family, whatever. Hopefully one day Harry would get there and understand that he does not need them. He really does not need them. It's hard because, again, it's family. But, I think Harry is getting there. He's not completely there. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody does it and come to terms with it in their own time. You could see him getting there and really, it's really clicking for him. But it's just a little way to go for him to be like, you know what? Y'all stay over there and I stay over here, and I will love you from afar. But hey, it is what it is. I'm happy he is doing his thing no matter where. And we look forward to whenever it is him and Meghan are in Nigeria, whether it's now, whether it's later in the month. We have no idea. They didn't tell us. So we'll just go when they let us know. And yesterday, another thing that happened, which I mentioned yesterday, but I didn't have the quotes, was them asking Harry, where does he see himself and Invictus in 10 years? And so this is what he said, and I sort of paraphrased because I didn't have the quotes, the real quote yesterday. So I kind of paraphrased what he said, but this is what he said, quote, about Invictus and, what he envisioned for Invictus. It says, look, I've said this over and over again over the years. Every time I've been asked a similar question, which is, how long does Invictus go on for? And the answer is that for as long as it is serving a purpose. I would love more than anything that there will be people in this room who go, what is he saying? But I would love more than anything to put this in a box, put it on a shelf, and let the box be covered in dust because we don't need it anymore, he said. But as we in this room probably understand more than most, that's just simply not the case. I'm a big fan of trying to solve the root cause of a problem. And the root cause of the problem is conflict. I can't fix that, he continued. So we will always be here to be able to spread the message, tell the stories, change the perspectives, and to help as many people as humanly possible, because Invictus transcends borders, it transcends politics, it is what it is. There is this magic within this community that exists. He goes on to say that, in the future, he'd love to see more countries be a part of it, but that will come with needing more funding and the time, instead of 1 week, extended beyond the week. And so he has said this before. It's like, he wishes Invictus is not needed, because then there would have been no conflict and no one would, be going through all the traumas you go through after you leave the service. But as the world as it is, there's always conflict. And so Invictus will be here as long as it's needed. And so I love that Harry also talks about, look, I'd love to put this on a shelf, let it be covered in dust, and we all move on. And so it shows that Harry isn't like, oh my gosh, Invictus is like his thing that he has to have for popularity, or he has to have this. No. Harry's like, look, I'm a military man. We don't want to have to do this. We have to do this because it is needed. We would love more than anything to just go off into the sunset and enjoy our merry life, not dealing with PTSD and not dealing with all these emotional and physical traumas that happens after war. But here we are. And so I really, really love this answer. I really love Harry's perspective on things. And so we have Invictus, and he talks about, just how, because they always have the year to the date of the Invictus Games. So they meet 1 year to celebrate the 1 year anniversary, or the 1 year leading up to the games. And he says, well, because 2 years is simply so far. It's like, we can't wait to be together. So we have the 1 year. and then we have, so that because the 2 year gap is just too much time apart. And so they have the 1 year to sort of meet the desire to meet up together until the next games. And so he's like, wherever it's going to be, Lord willing, hopefully Washington, D.C., they're going to meet up in the year before, and before the 2027 games, and obviously meet up for the games. So yeah, so this is a little bit, again, I wanted to update on that and get the actual quote from Prince Harry. Plus, I just wanted to look at these photos again. Harry looks amazing, absolutely amazing. Thank you. Chris, oh my goodness, what that photographer is that? Chris, whatever his last name is the one that took these beautiful photos. Thank you so much for these beautiful photos of Prince Harry yesterday. And here are some more photos with Prince Harry meeting up. Obviously, that's with Sir Keith and Ken Fisher there, and other people that were a part of the panel. That's JJ over there. JJ was a part of it. JJ actually also is a trustee for the Invictus Games, so it's great to see JJ there. And Harry, obviously, down there, so meeting the lady in red. And that's the same sort of a take on the same photo from above. And then that's Johnny Mercer, who is trying to get the Invictus Games. He's an MP in the UK, also a military vet. And he is trying to get the Invictus Games to Birmingham in the UK. And we're like, no, Johnny, no. No. And so he is the one that is spearheading the UK version, trying to get the 2027 games. And of course, they had a picture of Peacemaker. That's Peacemaker there. That's a photo of when Peacemaker was in Vancouver. Whistler, actually. They were practicing and learning this to ski in Whistler for the just be at the time of the 1 year, 1 year to go. And so that's a picture of Peacemaker, who obviously we did a spotlight on Peacemaker. If you have not seen it, check out our channel and watch Peacemaker, speaking about his life and just the impact that Invictus has had on him. So huge picture of Peacemaker in the back there. I sent a message to Peacemaker. I'm like, Peacemaker, I see that you were in the UK. We were laughing about it. I see. He's like, yeah, I know. I wasn't there, so they took my picture. They used my picture. I'm like, yeah. So very cool. Anyways, so that was yesterday. Amazing time. I look forward to whatever they're going to be doing today. And I look forward to photos and videos from the service of Thanksgiving. Anyway, so that was what I wanted to update on that. On to some real world updates about what we talked about a couple of episodes ago. Great news, more country. Last episode, I think we had Barbados, and we also had Trinidad and Tobago, my home country, recognizing Palestine as a state. And yesterday, actually, Bahamas. Thank you, Bahamas. Also jumped in, and also they are recognizing Palestine as a state. It says the Ministry of Foreign Affairs wishes to advise the public that the cabinet of the Bahamas has decided to formally recognize Palestine as a state. The government of the Bahamas believes that the recognition of the state of Palestine strongly demonstrates the Bahamas' commitment to the principles espoused in the Charter of the United Nations and to the right of self-determination of peoples as articulated in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the ICCPR, and the International Covenant of Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, the ICESCR. Bahamas became an independent nation in 1973 as an act of self-determination. Therefore, the Bahamas supports the legal right of the Palestinian people of self-determination to freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, cultural development, common Article 1 in the ICCPR and ICESCR. The Bahamas has in the past endorsed the two-state solution as clearly articulated in the United Nations Security Council Resolution 242 in 1967 and a peaceful and accepted settlement of the Middle East situation. Bahamas joins the Caribbean Community Consensus on this matter. So thank you, Bahamas, for recognizing Palestine and joining several countries, including Spain and so on, will be coming a little later. They said by July. I'm like, why don't you just do it right now? Everyone else is doing it right now. Why are you waiting? So anyways, thank you, Bahamas, for recognizing Palestine State. And it's very funny how their flags are similar, just different colors, but the flags are very, very similar. So kudos, Bahamas, for recognizing Palestine. And so some more updates. 2 episodes ago, I talked about this. There was a scoop that there were people in governments who were threatening the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court. And so this scoop came in, and I read it out on the 2 episodes ago. It said, scoop, a bipartisan group of senators held a confidential virtual meeting Wednesday with senior officials at the International Criminal Court to express concerns about the possible arrest warrants against Israeli leaders. At Stephen Newcomb and I write for Axios. So Axios put out this was a warning that something was up. They put out this scoop. And so a little bit of the article, it says, a bipartisan group of senators held a virtual meeting on Wednesday with senior officials at the International Criminal Court to express their concerns about possible arrest warrants being issued for Israeli leaders over the war in Gaza, according to 3 sources who were in the meeting or briefed about it. Why it matters. Israel officials have grown increasingly worried over the last 2 weeks that the ICC is preparing to issue arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and Israel Defense Forces Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi. Driving the news, the ICC, which is based in The Hague, Netherlands, has been investigating since 2021. Not 2024, 2021 possible war crimes by both Israeli forces and Palestinian militants dating back to the 2014 Israel-Hamas war. And so this is the kind of scoop that something was up, that people were trying to, there was this thing going on between senators in the U.S. and the ICC. And so this was the first inkling that we got that something was up. And then the next day, May 3rd, the International Criminal Court put out this post on X. It says, a statement from the ICC, the Office of the Prosecutor, and we again read this last 2 episodes ago. The Office of the Prosecutor is aware that there is a significant public interest in this investigation, and it welcomes comments, communication, and concerns and engagement in its activities from states and elected officials, non-governmental organizations, scholars, and activists. The office seeks to engage constructively with all stakeholders whenever such dialogue is consistent with its mandate under the Rome Statute to act independently and impartially. That independence and impartiality are undermined, however, when individuals threaten to retaliate against the court or against court personnel should the office, in fulfillment of its mandate, make decisions about investigations or cases falling within its jurisdiction. Such threats, even when not acted upon, may also constitute an offense against the administration of justice under Article 70 of the Rome Statute. That provision explicitly prohibits both retaliation against an official of the court on account of duties performed by that or another official, and impeding, intimidating, or corruptly influencing an official of the court for the purpose of forcing or persuading that official not to perform or to perform improperly his or her duties. The office insists that all attempts to impede, intimidate, or improperly influence its officials cease immediately. So that was one of those, like, what? Are you serious? I mean, for the fact that it's unprecedented that the International Criminal Court at The Hague would have to put out this statement on X that people are trying to intimidate it, or not trying to, they are literally intimidating, threatening retaliation against the officials of the International Criminal Court, prosecutors of the International Criminal Court. And it's just like unbelievable. So we knew about the meeting with the senators, but, we didn't know, like, specifically who was responsible for threatening the International Criminal Court. And then this happened 2 days later, which is a couple days ago on May 6th. Mehdi Hassan from Zateo had this exclusive. And if you remember, Mehdi Hassan used to work for MSNBC actually, until his investigation and his reporting on Palestine what became a little uncomfortable for MSNBC. So they demoted him. And so instead of taking the demotion, Mehdi Hassan left and formed his own news outlet, which has been amazing. They have been covering this without having their bosses over their head, behind their back, looking over their shoulder at what they're reporting. They have been reporting the facts as it happens underground. And so Mehdi, through Zateo, put out this exclusive about what really happened and why the International Criminal Court had to put out that notice. It says, exclusive. You have been warned. Republican senators threaten the ICC prosecutors over possible Israel arrest warrants. Read the full letter obtained by Zateo, which threatens sanctions in defense of Netanyahu. Target Israel and we'll target you. And this is a little bit about the article, and then we'll read the letter. It says, a group of influential Republican senators has sent a letter to the International Criminal Court, the ICC chief prosecutor Karim Khan, warning him not to issue international arrest warrants against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu or other Israeli officials, and threatening him with severe sanctions if he does. In a terse one-page letter obtained exclusively by Zateo and signed by 12 GOP senators, including Tom Cotton of Arkansas, Florida's Mark Rubio, Ted Cruz of Texas, Khan is informed that any attempts by the ICC to hold Netanyahu and his colleagues to account for their actions in Gaza will be interpreted not only as a threat to Israel's sovereignty, but to the sovereignty of the United States. I kid you not. Here is the letter that they sent. And this is all signed by these 12 Republican senators. This is the letter they sent, fully on United States Senate letterhead and everything, to Mr. Khan, Mr. Karim A. Khan, KCC, of the International Criminal Court. And so these are the senators: Tom Cotton, Mitch McConnell, who is the Senate Minority Leader, Marsha Blackburn, Katie Boyd Brett, Ted Budd, Kevin Kramer, Ted Cruz, Bill Hagerty, Pete Rickett, Mark Rubio, Rick Scott, and Tim Scott. So I'm going to just read it on this page, which makes it a little bit bigger so we can read the whole thing and we can see it a lot clearer what is written. It says, and this is the letter, it says, We write regarding the reports that the International Criminal Court may be considering issuing international arrest warrants against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other Israeli officials. Such actions are illegitimate and lack legal basis, and if carried out, will result in severe sanctions against you and your institution. The ICC is attempting to punish Israel for taking legitimate actions of self-defense against their Iranian-backed aggressors. In fact, in your own words, you witnessed scenes of calculated cruelty conducted by Hamas in Israel following the October 7th attacks. These arrest warrants would align the ICC with the largest state sponsor of terrorism and its proxy. To be clear, there is no moral equivalence between Hamas terrorism and Israel's justified response. That's right, they're calling Israel's massacre of 40,000 people, over 40,000 people, a justified response. The ICC is also prohibited by its charter from proceeding in any case unless the relevant government is unwilling or unable to police themselves. You yourselves have said that Israel has trained lawyers who advise commanders and a robust system intended to ensure compliance with international humanitarian law. By issuing warrants, you would be calling into question the legitimacy of Israel's law, legal system, and democratic form of government. I kid you not. Issuing arrest warrants for the leader of Israel would not only be unjustified, it would expose your organization's hypocrisy and double standard. Your office has not issued arrest warrants for Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei or any other Iranian officials, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, or any other Syrian officials, or Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, or other Hamas officials, nor have you issued an arrest warrant for the genocidal General Secretary of the People's Republic of China, Xi Jinping, or other Chinese officials. Finally, neither Israel nor the United States are members of the ICC and are therefore outside your organization's supposed jurisdiction. If you issue a warrant for arrest of the Israeli leadership, we will interpret this not only as a threat to Israel's sovereignty, but to the sovereignty of the United States. Our country demonstrated in the American Service Members Protection Act the lengths to which we will go to protect that sovereignty. The United States will not tolerate politicized attacks by the ICC on our allies. Target Israel, and we will target you. If you move forward with the measures indicated in the report, we will move to end all American support for the ICC, sanction your employees and associates, bar you and your family from the United States. You have been warned. That's right. This is the letter that Republican senators sent to the International Criminal Court. By issuing arrests to Israel, they call into question Israel's legal system and their democratic form of government. Their democratic form of government? Israel is a democracy? I mean, anybody with any common sense looking at Israel, that is the last word that you would call Israel, a democracy. And not only that is it's literally, these senators are like gangsters. This is gangster language that they have put in this letter. Our country demonstrated in the American Service Members Protection Act the lengths which we will go to protect our sovereignty. Hello, what exact lengths are you going to be going to if they were to definitely charge Israel with genocide, which they should be doing, and that the United States will not tolerate politicized acts on our allies? You target Israel and we'll target you? This is gangster language. This is corrupt language. This is mafia language. And not only that, if they move forward, they will sanction not only them, their employees, they'll bar them from and their family from the United States. You have been warned. Is this what people who've voted for these people? Is this what you elected your officials to the Senate to be doing? To sending a terrorist letter to the International Criminal Court in defense of a foreign country? And basically calling it, if you attack them, you attack us. And I'm like, and not only that, if you attack them, it's going to result in severe sanctions against you and your institution. This is what these senators did. They put it in writing on United States Senate letterhead. This is what these senators did. And so that's why the ICC had to put this public, incredible post out. And honestly, all of these people should be charged. All of these people should be brought to The Hague. All of these people for trying to impede this investigation. This is criminal. This is what you find from the mafia. This is what you expect from criminals. This is what you expect from terrorists. This is terroristic threats that they are making against the International Criminal Court. It is unbelievable that, and chances are, I don't know, I don't follow mainstream media. I stopped. I seriously doubt this is very much covered in mainstream media. But this is why the International Criminal Court had to put out that letter. It is unbelievable that they would do this. And not only that, these senators, and just to give you insight into who these senators are, we talk so much about AIPAC, the influence of AIPAC. This AIPAC is the Israel lobby, the most powerful, one of at least the most powerful, probably the most powerful lobby in Washington. This is an Israel lobby that has pretty much bought out the entire Senate, the entire Congress, and including the President of the United States, who was taking the most money of over $5 million from AIPAC. And we've been talking about this since October 7th. We've been talking about AIPAC and what it has done to America and how much these senators that people have elected to office to focus on American interests, they have all been bought and paid for by Israel and Israel's lobby. These 12 senators who wrote this letter, Tom Cotton from Arkansas, Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, Ted Budd from North Carolina, Ted Cruz from Texas, Pete Ricketts from Nebraska, Rick Scott from Florida, Mitch McConnell, Senate Minority Leader from Kentucky, Katie Boyd Britt from Alabama, Kevin Kramer from North Dakota, Bill Hagerty from Tennessee, Mark Rubio from Florida, and Tim Scott from South Carolina. These are all the money that they have taken from AIPAC. Every single one of them have sold their souls and sold their loyalty to Israel. These are the money that they have taken from AIPAC, according to AIPAC track, which I've mentioned numerous times before. If you want to know if your senator is taking money from AIPAC, check out, one, AIPAC website, because they're not hiding it. And two, AIPAC track is a great way to track all of this stuff. This is over $6 million accumulated, over $6 million that they have taken from AIPAC. Every single one of them bought and paid for by Israel. That they feel like, okay, it is okay to threaten the International Criminal Court. This is unbelievable. And no condemnation. You would think the President of the United States would be like, oh, wait a minute. No. Not a word. Not a word. No condemnation from the United States government and other senators and other Congress people. Nothing. It's perfectly okay to threaten, apparently, to threaten the International Criminal Court if there's any inkling that they're going to be ruling against Israel. So according to the U.S. government, it's perfectly okay. And it's perfectly okay to sell out your country to a foreign government. These are the same people who would be screaming if it was, sold out to Russia or whatever. Completely sold out. Unbelievable. And not only that, is as I speak, one of the big things that we've been talking about is that Palestinians have nowhere to go. They have nowhere to go. They have been chased out of northern Gaza, central Gaza. All of them are now packed into Rafah. The southernmost, the only place other to go is in the water, is in the sea, in the ocean. They are crammed in to Rafah. And this has been like the last point. Even the US say that's like the red line. You don't go into Rafah. Well, after they said that, they sent off $29 million to Israel. Israel doesn't care. It doesn't respect the United States anyway. They're going to do whatever they want to. Other countries are like, this is the red line. Saudi Arabia, that's the red line. Well, Israel doesn't care. Israel wants Rafah. It wants to kill Palestinians. It wants to ethnically cleanse them, either in whatever means possible. So whether it's kill them, starve them to death, chase them out of the land, however they do it, they just want them out. So after all these months, Israel is now in Rafah. Their troops are in Rafah. They entered Rafah at the same time the Met Gala was happening. So obviously we know whenever there's something big going on in the United States, whether it's the Oscars or one of those things, they will use that as cover to commit their biggest atrocities. This is no less. The Met Gala was it. The same day they're remembering the Holocaust against them, they used that day to enter Rafah, where the majority of 2 million people are, half of that children, to start bombing tents. And to cover themselves until the world doesn't know what they're doing, they decided to ban Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera has been, because Israel has banned the world media from entering Gaza. So we've only relied on, thank God for these dedicated journalists in Gaza who have risked their lives, and Israel has killed 127 of them. The few that are remaining are the only eye into what is happening there, and the others who somehow have signal that could share with the world the horrors of what's going on in Gaza. Al Jazeera has been it, to share with the world and to expose what Israel has been doing. Well, what does Israel do? The May 5th, the day before they decide to enter Rafah, was shut down Al Jazeera completely, raid their offices completely. And so this is the statement from the Foreign Press Association. Israel's decision to shutter Al Jazeera should be a cause for concern for all supporters of free press. If you're still at a place of concern, you're part of the problem, honestly. With this decision, Israel joins a dubious club of authoritarian government to ban the station, and the government may not be done. The Prime Minister has the authority to target other foreign media that he deems to be acting against the state. We urge the government to reverse this harmful step and uphold its commitment to freedom of press, including outlets whose coverage it may not like. This is a dark day for the media. This is a dark day for democracy. And this is from the Board of Foreign Press Association. Remember we talked a little bit ago about the U.S. senators claiming that, Israel is a democracy and how dare the ICC go against Israel, that it's going to be calling into question Israel's democracy. Yeah, this quote-unquote democracy, banning the free press, it refused to allow the free press since October 7th into Gaza. So no foreign press other than NBC and CNN, and they had to be with the IDF soldiers, and all their content had to be approved by the IDF. by the Israeli government before it was broadcast. So basically, it was just censored stuff. It was just stuff the Israeli propaganda, the Israelis wanted to come out. Everyone else is banned. And now they have shut down Al Jazeera, as you can see from these headlines, and many, many other. Al Jazeera office raided as Israel takes channel off the air. By shutting down Al Jazeera, Israel is shooting itself in the foot in the Middle East. This is from Haaretz. Haaretz is one of Israel's top newspapers. They are calling out Israeli government. Israel shuts down of Al Jazeera in the country, seizes equipment in a dark day from a democracy. What democracy? There is no democracy there. Israel authorities raid Al Jazeera after shutdown order. Israel cabinet's vote to shut down Al Jazeera's operation in the country. This was the May 5th, the day before they decided to enter Rafah. And what happened the next day is Hamas, they've been working on this peace agreement forever. They finally came to a place where Hamas agreed to the peace agreement, which is ending the conflict, ending the fighting, an exchange of hostages. Because Israel, again, people always talks about Israeli hostages that Hamas has, but Israel has almost 10,000 Palestinian hostages, including children as young as 5 years old, in custody with no charges. And they just pick you off the street. They will come into your house and take your child. This is what they've been doing, especially in the West Bank. And so they had this, I guess America was all part of it. They announced it. Palestinians in Rafah were celebrating, thinking they had a peace deal. And what does Israel do? They are like, no, we're not accepting it. Instead, their parliament voted to go and enter Rafah instead. And this is what we have going on. The picture on the right, this is tents. The majority of people in Rafah are living in tents in this deserted place with not much aid, right there on the Egyptian border. And what does Israel started doing? Entered Rafah and started bombing the tents. This is the Middle East Eye. Says this morning is one of the darkest in the 7-month-long nightmare, said Jens Lark, the UN Humanitarian Office spokesperson in Geneva, on Tuesday, a day after Hamas announced its approval of a ceasefire deal, which Israel seemingly ignored by sending tanks into Rafah. Not seemingly ignored, they absolutely ignored it. They voted to go and enter Rafah. People in Gaza have nowhere to go. There is nowhere to go. Everything else is destroyed. And Israel is still bombing the destroyed places in the north and the middle area. They're still doing it. And now they're bombing the only place that Palestinians have. In the tents, as you can see from this picture, they're bombing the tents. And again, as I said, when did they choose to do it? Exactly the same time when the world is focused on the Met Gala. This is what Israel is doing on the left. Bombing tents, bombing homes. I mean, I cannot, the images of children, I cannot post. It is so egregious and so children being burned alive. If you just imagine. I can't post those pictures here. It's all over X. People are posting, seeing images that I never in my life would have imagined seeing a child in that way. These images are burned in my mind. I would never be able to not see what I've seen of what Israel is doing to children, especially, not just children, men and women. And it is egregious on all of it. It took the cover when the world is focused on the glamour of the Met Gala. They used it as a cover to enter Rafah. The United States government, silent. Absolutely silent. In fact, the president was at a ceremony remembering the Holocaust, blaming Hamas, of course. Meanwhile, Israel is in Rafah, massacring Palestinians, and our Zionist president is still making excuses for what Israel is doing. This is where we are. And this is another update from Gaza. World Central Kitchen, a couple of episodes ago, I mentioned that they had resumed, they posted that they had just resumed their work in Gaza after Israel killed 7 of their team members in northern Gaza. World Central Kitchen posted this a couple of days ago, and I had it on the podcast. It says, besides the tireless work of our Palestinian team, World Central Kitchen has served 1 million meals in Gaza since resuming work this week. Thanks to their efforts, we provided 46 plus million plates of food through hot meals and food kits since first responding to the conflict. Well, they updated that yesterday. Evacuation orders in Rafah have forced several World Central Kitchen-supported community kitchens to pause cooking today. Still, our field kitchens and community kitchens outside the evacuation zones provided more than 168,000 meals in communities around Rafah, Deir al-Balal. And so Israel dropped these flyers telling people to evacuate Rafah. Again, there's literally nowhere to go. They've bombed everywhere else and are bombing everywhere else. People are like, we don't know where to go. We have no idea where to go because nowhere is safe. So their World Central Kitchen is outside that zone where Israel dropped the leaflets, I guess, and they are trying to still feed people. So that's an update on their situation therein. And I'm so happy they've resumed and they're feeding people in southern Gaza. Northern Gaza, again, famine is going on. Israeli-made famine is going on there. People are still dying from starvation in northern Gaza. And finally, I'm telling you, the children of Gaza, the children of Palestine have been, I feel like they're God's little angel on this earth. We don't deserve these children. We seriously don't deserve them. Out of the bombed out buildings, out of buildings that were destroyed in every way. You see children using the brick from the building because it's slanted. They're using it as a slide. We've seen videos of children. Israel destroyed all their power supplies and all, the wires are still hanging there. Children use it as swings and they're playing on it. They're playing catch on it, using the walls as, try to figure out, using their imagination to use whatever at their disposal to maintain their childhood, to just have some fun. And this is no different. Here's this little child, and I'm sure his parents, out of a bombed out building, figured out a way to hang a swing. And to see the big brother there pushing the little brother to just have some enjoyment in spite of the horror that is happening to them, to live. And I'm telling you that the heart and the passion and the life of Palestinians will live on no matter what Israel does. This is what they cannot understand, in spite of all they've done to Palestinians. The heart and the humanity of the Palestinian people always come shining through. I mean, this is the most amazing thing, in spite of all the horror. Look at the building that they've hung the swing on. It is amazing that this child, and he's sitting there being a child in all the horror. Children they are God's gift to this earth. We don't deserve them. This little child on the right, she says, Abir Khatib posted this. He says, I don't have enough words to give the Palestinian children what they deserve. This little girl, she's collecting flowers to throw at her mom when she sees her after 7 months of separation. My heart. And here this little girl, she's picking all these flowers. So when she hasn't seen her mom in 7 months, she can shower her mom and throw it on her mom. Is, I guess, a Palestinian way of celebrating for her mom. So in spite of all the horror, and you can look at the scene around her, you can tell it's like bombed out buildings around her. She's able to find some beauty in all of that horror. And in the nightmare that they've been living. And it's this kind of thing why it's like, children, man, God, they are really God's angels on this earth. We don't deserve them. We don't deserve them. And it helps us to see, and it helps me to see that no matter what is going on in the world, children, they're able to live. They're able to see the beauty of things, see the joy in things, no matter what. And it is just, I mean, it is just so horrific to see what they're going through. But to see things through their eyes, it is an amazing thing in the world. And that's the thing that, for me, one of the biggest things that I take away from all of this stuff is the children and their resilience and their heart. It just, I mean, it's what we all need. It's what we all need in this world. And I'm sorry that the world has not been there for these kids. You know, you look at these kids. I'm also going to be focusing on, and I've meant to do it for a few episodes now, what is also going on in different African countries like the Congo, etc., who are going through even worse than this. There are a genocide going on there as well. So I will be focusing some episodes specifically on the Congo. I'm still reading up on that. So it is just, I just wanted to do an update on some of these stories and just bring us up to date on what's happening. As I speak, Israel is in Rafah, being their brutal self, genocidal self. As I speak, that's what they're doing. But I pray that these kids and others will survive. Again, the majority of people that are in Rafah, half of them are children. And so, yeah. So for these moments, for these kids, it's heavenly for them. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Lydia, Church Nelly, Karen M, Cookies and Cream, and Black Queen. Thank you so much for everything you do for the channel, which is amazing. And for our amazing 2 Cents crew, all of you who support the channel, all our new members and all of our rejoining members. Thank you all so much for your support. And thank you for all of you who support in the chat, who support via PayPal, Cash App, super thanks, super chat, or just straight donations. Thank you all so much for your support. Have a great day, and I will chat with you next time. Bye.